So Mark Licciardello here. I want to thank you and welcome everyone, both here today in the room and those watching live around the world for our Service Center of Excellence ribbon cutting. In the facility management profession, we know it's not enough to have a good idea. You need to have an idea that actually works and drives business growth. And IFMA has always been a thought leader when it comes to facility management. Our community enables us to draw from many areas for our thought leadership, from our growing membership of 23,000 to our varying experiences in 130 chapters in 78 countries around the world. So, some time ago, when we started to think about this, and obviously as FMs, with our strategic facility planning process, we made a cognizant decision, very cognizant decision, to start with a blank sheet of paper. We had some big ideas. We wanted our new workplace to embody the best practices of FM, ideas that actually work and drive value. We wanted our new workplace to put into practice the triple bottom line with very specific attention to sustainability. We wanted our new facility to serve as a tool to engage and empower both our members and our staff. And let me tell you, as one very dynamic association, IFMA is on the move. We're finding ways to provide expanding membership with more resources that they need every day. And by the way, we're growing our business without growing our footprint. Very critical today. Actually, we've significantly reduced the footprint of our workplace here in Houston. And what this does, this puts those dollars directly to what I call the membership bottom line, while also increasing the productivity of our staff right here in Houston and around the world. This new workplace, our first Service Center of Excellence, is more than just a building of bricks and mortar. It's a symbol of IFMA's ongoing leadership in the field of FM, a down payment on the exciting future we're striving to achieve, and a testimonial to our role as stewards of the built environment in integrating people, place, process, and technology to drive performance. I'd now like to introduce past IFMA Chairman Tom Mitchell, who took over as the chairman of the relocation board for me when I became chair and guided the team over the finish line. So if you hold on one second while we change over to technology, I'm going to have Tom come up and talk.
Now I got to figure out exactly how to use this gift from my daughters. I say this because, well, this technology was purchased using some of their inheritance money. I have notes, absolutely, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. Because folks know, why use only 7 words when you can use 70? That is my background. But I have this because there was some great information that was shared thanks to one of the stellar members of the IFMA staff to make sure that I drove home some particular points. The first one is this was so much more than just moving the headquarters from one Greenway Plaza to now 800 Gessner. Because we are facility management, and we know that it's more than just the physical location. As our chair just shared, facility management is about the integration of people, place, process, and technology to ensure the functionality of that built environment. So this was more than just moving to a new spot. There are all kinds of tangential impacts on exactly where this family would be. And here's another part of it too. This was an opportunity for us to walk the talk. I mean, IFMA's been producing research for a real long time about current trends and future opportunities and how globalization and technology, things like this, were influencing the way our workplace was going to be enabling people to be more productive, more efficient. Yet for those who had the opportunity to spend time in Greenway Plaza, it was good for its time. But unfortunately, our old location did not move as quickly forward with the challenges that we're facing in this global resource-constrained society. This was an opportunity for us to literally make the walk in terms of demonstrating what facility management can do. And what better way to do that than in your own home? Because most of us spend our conscious time in the workplace. Not saying we don't spend time at home, but usually when I'm there, as my wife will attest, I crash. And then I wake up and I get ready for the next day. So the time that I'm actually conscious, doing what I do to sustain my family, to sustain our profession, is based on where I am in the workplace. And if my workplace is more conducive to me being enabled to be effective and productive in delivering those services that I provide as one of at least 23,000 professionals, sir?
And growing.
There you go. That's IFMA membership. There can be more. Then I can actually demonstrate my value. So this was an opportunity for IFMA to really solidify its position and its influential role in driving good business, good practice, good facility management. And last but not least in this, most of us who are in senior decision-making roles know that 2 of the 3 most expensive assets or resources available to an organization are its people and its workplace. Facilities is always going to be 1 or 2. 2 might be what you're delivering. So if you produce nuclear bombs, yeah, they tend to be more expensive than facilities. But facilities is guaranteed to be in the top 3. It just makes good business sense to leverage that enabler no differently than IT or the human, to make sure that that organization is satisfying the needs that need to be done. So as I unlock this real quick, I'll get on back to my script. Now, here we go. I'm back on cue, sir. I know time is, I know. One of the things that I really appreciated was something that Mark mentioned during the board of directors meeting earlier. This began long before today. This began under the leadership of past chair Francis Kuhn. And then it transitioned over to past chair Kathy Roper, okay? And of course, now it's been carried into the physical manifestation under the leadership of Mark Licciardello. Consistent through all of that is Tony Keene since February of 2010. Happy 3rd anniversary, by the way, sir. And let's not forget the headquarters staff that actually had to do the legwork to make it happen. But there was a steering committee. Kathy, I mentioned, Tony, John Sellers, our incoming chair, Francis Kuhn, Mark Licciardello, and for comic relief, Tom Mitchell. And what we decided to do was to try to do this thing smartly since we had the time. So the best thing we did was to ask people, what do you think this future work environment should be like? I mean, it is supposed to be for the people. Why not ask the people? Another thing we did too is it's incredible the amount of intellectual capability that we have in our volunteer membership. So we asked some of these folks who've been producing these books and these reports, what do you think when it comes to our own workspace? Last but not least, and many of you were here for it, you remember the surveys that came out to ask you what would make your ability to serve more efficiently, more effectively, better in a future state workplace. And we took all of that information, and what we did was we decided to do strategy, which should drive business. And thanks to Mark and a lot of other individuals, there was a strategic brief that was created based on the desired future state. This is what we envision it to do, but we did not tell any of our partners exactly how to do it. We just told them what the future state was and what we expected as a result of it. And Mark was very good in making sure that we kept on point. Let's not lose focus on where we wish to be. And by doing that, we were able to do several things that were spectacular. We went through an exercise where we actually narrowed down the possibilities of where this future state could be. Some of you may know that Houston was not the only option. But guess what? Since it takes humans, good, dedicated staff members, for IFMA to do what it does globally, If we're going to choose another location besides Houston, we're going to have to figure out how to capture all of your intellectual capital, move it to another location, pay that going rate, and to make sure that our members did not lose a beat. That was not a smart thing to do. But we had to go through the exercise. Houston was the best place for our first global location. But this is just the first. It won't be the last. But we had to go through that exercise. We also had to make sure that we took in consideration what it is to be a global association, different time zones. And the idea, if I remember correctly, sir, was that if you called from, oh, I don't know, Mumbai, you would get the same kind of service that you would expect from somebody calling from Mobile, Alabama. Had to take that in consideration. Also, we wanted to make sure that we made it easier for our staff to be able to do what they needed to do. Reduce the stress and pressure on them so when they came here, they were refreshed and ready to roll. For those who live in Houston, this can be a stressful place depending on where you live. And I know what road rage is all about. So that had to be factored in there. We also needed to recognize the importance of all of the people who are involved in influencing the advancing of facility management. And that's where all of our friends and family members from different countries came into play. So when you walk through this space, and I saw it for the first time today, you see a testament to those areas across the planet that have made a difference in creating this kind of environment that we're seeing today. And this is still just part of the journey. So we are hopeful that, as our chair coined it, this service center of excellence, think of those words, service, providing for the needs of others. Center, this is where it's all brought together. Capitalizing on synergy as opposed to separation, which is what we had to deal with over at Greenway. This environment, if you really want to work together, it's real easy to do that right now. Excellence, doing the absolute best that you can do, recognize there's always more that you can do. Just those terms that Mark coined that gave us a clear focus on where we needed to be is literally made that future state a physical reality. I have said enough. I'm going to turn this back over to my chair because I'm a fibs.
Great job, Tom. Great job. Great job. Technology shift. Hold on. Just another observation for those of you who are not here in the room, and I know we have people virtual all over. I mean, there's a big room of people here, our staff, our advisors, our friends. But to me, I'm looking behind me on the screen, and I'm seeing our virtual staff and our virtual teams who are also participating live and seeing what's going on. And so that presence really, for me, the visibility I've seen today in this room, in this space, on the screen, I think it hits everything that, as an FM, you aspire to do for a workplace and for a workforce. And so those aren't scripted. I mean, that's just me talking. It's an observation. So for all of you, that's just phenomenal. So to get back on my script, as Tom just talked about, this was a very open and inclusive process. It's really empowered us to do some very amazing things. And I would say thanks to all of us. I mean, you've probably heard me say several times, to the extent that every single member can participate, we really reached for that as a goal and an opportunity. But this location, it was chosen with sustainability in mind. The development density and the community connectivity that this host of amenities bring together are all within walking distance and really supports the health and wellness of our staff. So not just the productivity, but sort of the whole being. The building itself, a high performance facility, has an Energy Star rating of 98. Pretty high. I think, maybe, a few things surprises me, but the thing that surprises people the most that I talk to is that using scientifically proven and leading edge methods, we've been able to reduce the square footage of our headquarters by nearly 50%. Less space is good for our triple bottom line. It's good for the environment, as it nearly halves our environmental and carbon footprint. It's good for our employees, who now have a choice to work in any space, in any style, in any setting, with the greatest flexibility and obviously efficiently and effectively. It's also good for our operational excellence, because less space means a lower total cost of ownership. So, talking about the Service Center of Excellence by the numbers, and I won't sing it by the 12 Days of Christmas tune, by the way, save you that. So some of the numbers.
We appreciate that.
Thank you very much. 9 design team consultants supported the effort. 15 buildings were toured by our project team. Once the site selection occurred, there were 6 weeks of design, 8 weeks of demo and construction, 2 weeks of furniture deployment, including 129 chairs, a workplace covered by 17 fabrics, and all these ingredients and many, many more as a result of our inclusive environment has created one IFMA Service Center of Excellence. I'd also like to thank some of our advisors that work very closely with us, as Tom would call them, our hired guns, and they're here with us today. AECOM, Perkins & Will, Jones Lang LaSalle, Watchdog Real Estate, Grable, and Choice Furniture Source, excuse me. I must be hungry. I'm talking about sauce.
I'm with you.
There you go. Now, for any international organization, building organizational capacity to strategically leverage scale and scope is really critical to business success. So one of my favorite things about the Service Center of Excellence is that it was designed to be copied. It was put together with a strategic kit of parts that can be used by IFMA Service Centers around the world. Indeed, this is only the first of what I think may become many worldwide IFMA Service Centers of Excellence. Now, to talk a little bit more about the parts that have gone into making this facility function, let me introduce Tony Keene, who is the President and CEO of IFMA, manages the day-to-day operations right here in Houston. Tony, come on up.
Thank you, Mark.
You got it. Okay. Take your stuff.
Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mark, for your kind remarks and your inspirational remarks for our staff and for what IFMA really means in terms of this space. It is really exciting to be here today. As Mark and Tom have mentioned, there's been a lot of people involved in this process, and we've had days where I know some of our staff and the project team have probably been willing to just pull their hair out, go and scream from the top mountain, frustration. But then at the same time, I think when you see this all come together like it has, every bit was worth it. And that is really just an exciting opportunity. It's an exciting piece of history for IFMA in its 32 years. Just to kind of highlight some of the actual aspects of this space, and really what does it mean for us as an operating environment, as an association. If we talk about the resource of a physical facility, a lot of people and a lot of organizations may look at an office as a place where there's 4 walls. They may build it as an icon for a leader within their organization. But facility management preaches that basically this space, the physical space, is really a resource. It is a tool that the organization utilizes to help achieve the goals and the mission of the organization. When done correctly, like what you see here, it absolutely enhances the productivity of the staff and the people that occupy that space. It also enhances their satisfaction in terms of their ability to use the space and not dread coming to the space, as well as making sure that it's a healthy environment. This is the contrast between here and where we were before is night and day. And I can't say that often enough. I mean, Tom said it, Marcus said it. It really is amazing what we can do with this space today versus what we did before. One of the first things you'll observe is that there's a lot of places to sit in many different types of uses. You'll also notice that there's no name tags on any of those spaces. There's names of countries and places, but nobody has any assigned seats. What we found in terms of the research that was done is that why are we as an organization paying for space that's underutilized? I mean, I travel almost 50% of the time. Why should I have a big corner office that's not being utilized? So making that conscious decision to separate, basically title and size of space, and dedicating space and paying for space that is no longer being utilized on a 100% basis didn't make any sense. So what we've been able to do here is employ that strategy so that people can use the space based upon what their needs are. Here again, it goes about making the facility a tool to enhance their ability to do the job. Another aspect that we all had observed in the old space is that we had a lot of walls and physical barriers that really encouraged us not to collaborate. We didn't see each other. We didn't really know what was going on in each of the other departments because everybody was behind different walls and cubicles. Here, there are no departmental assignments. So what that's done is remove those barriers, those physical barriers, to allow us to work together, collaborate better, engage with each other in a much better space. And at the same time, if you're not physically here, you can engage through the utilization of our technology. So that is created an environment, a virtual plus a physical environment coming together. That flexibility has allowed us to put together a set of tools inside of the space. So if you need to get into a phone conversation, you may look at an open bench environment and say, I really don't want to have this phone conversation in front of everybody else so they can hear it. That's why we've got several small phone rooms around. So then the staff can go ahead and utilize those. If you want to get together, instead of disrupting your fellow colleagues, we have small meeting rooms. So then therefore then the staff can engage those and have those conversations in those places. We've got medium-sized rooms. We've got this facility here. There's a large meeting room that, as you can see, has very, very flexible space in terms of how it's utilized and how it interacts with the other space in the office. So this is something that was very important in terms of the workspace design and how it's been incorporated from the strategic point of view and into reality that we see today. That ability to do the remote working, both from, as you can see on the screen, we've got staff in multiple different states around the country. We actually also have some representatives of us in India. And it doesn't matter where we go forth in terms of our global support. And as you heard today, this is about providing service. And how do we do it on a global basis, and how do we improve it? By creating the flexibility of our staff, even here in Houston, to be able to have the mobility to sit wherever they want, interact with what they want to do based upon how they feel that day. Let's face it, we don't all get up on the cheery side of the bed every day. If we don't want to be associated with anybody, we can find a corner here. If we want to be seeing, we get up and we're happy and the sun is shining and we're ready to kill the world, we can do that too. We can get in everybody's face and everybody can hear us. So that's a good thing. But it's all based upon how our interaction is with our space and how we utilize that. But by employing the technology that we have, it allows, because one of the concerns we had in going to a mobile environment was engagement, and how we make sure that we continue to engage not only the people that are physically here in terms of spontaneous conversations, but also the people that are sitting over here. How do we engage them? And if you can guess, you can pick up the phone, but we all know that that's more of an effort, and it's not really the same type of engagement when you're looking at them through a speakerphone sitting on the desk table in a conference room. So we've employed extensive utilization of video technology to allow us to engage physically, to see that physical presence on the screen, and to bring them to part of being here, as well as us being with them. Another side benefit of that is the focus on sustainability. If staff is not looking at having to come in here every day, that's less fuel used, less carbon emissions. So therefore that increases our ability to have a smaller carbon footprint, as well as a smaller physical footprint. We also, we've talked in the past in terms of work-life balance. And basically it was always about how do you balance this chunk of time for work versus this chunk of time for your personal life. The reality today with smartphones and tablets and all the different ways that technology touches us, really today it's about work-life integration. And that's what we've tried to embrace here at IFMA and engage in a culture that allows us to have a better ability to have work-life integration and a flexible environment that allows us to do that. At the same time, as we have a growing global membership, we have to be able to support them. So many of the staff you see sitting around this table and on the screen are taking phone calls at 11 o'clock at night, dealing with our members and our customers in India, China, Europe. It may be conference calls at 6 a.m. It may be conference calls at 10 p.m. We've all done that. And that allows us the flexibility to be able to do that, whether we're doing it from the office or whether we're doing it from a mobile environment. To allow us to do that, we had to employ web-based technology and phone services so that when we're on the phone, now nobody really knows where you are, because it still looks like you're calling from the office. The thing I haven't been able to figure out yet is how to carry the tablet with my headphones in while I'm on the golf course. I haven't been able to do that yet. But the focus on sustainability is about how we utilize that space, but it's also what we did in terms of this process. There was a lot of effort put into place in terms of the selections of materials, the furniture, and making sure that we did and followed sustainable guidelines to make sure that we were acting and walking that footprint. The same time was the disposal of the old assets at the One Greenway Plaza. We made sure that that didn't end up in landfills. We did a lot of donations to schools and other nonprofits that needed the stuff, as well as recycled. So that was an important part of us, and because IFMA has a pillar through its strategic plan of sustainability. And that is important, and here again, we had to walk that talk. I want to read to you some of the staff feedback that we've had since we moved into this space. And we've only been here a few days in reality, compared to the long life of what will be in here. So some of these are exact quotes, and they are all about what the staff feels about the new Service Center of Excellence. First was, and most frequently mentioned, was, I love the double monitors. It's a cool place to work, so modern. With the shared space, it's so much easier to get to know and work with coworkers. I love that I'm able to get a better understanding of what my colleagues do. It helps me understand my own job better and how I fit into the bigger picture. The flexibility is great. The laptops and workstations really help me adapt to whatever job I'm currently working on. I'm glad the new office is more sustainable and that it was designed with sustainability in mind. And the last comment out of many was, I'm so proud of where I work, I want to show it off. And I would hope for all of our members that are out here in the audience and working for different organizations, how would you like it if all of your employees were saying, I want to show our workspace off? I think that's great. So in conclusion, as Tom and Mark have already said, thank you. There's been a lot of people involved in this process. Our partners, our vendors, our members, the board of directors, the steering committee. It has been a tremendous amount of team effort from an organization-wide. I'd also like to especially thank our internal project team, because they have literally put in just a tremendous amount of hours through this entire process. Under Mike Moss, our COO, his leadership, Marina Kritikos, where are you, Marina? Our Director of Sustainability. And Jenny, our Project Management Office. The three of them, I know single-handedly, have put in a tremendous amount of effort. And that's not to discount any effort that anybody else has put into here, because it has impacted every one of us on staff. But these three have lived and breathed this project now for probably about 18 months. And in the last 4, 5, 6 months, have been living and breathing it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And that's literal. So with that, I'd also like to thank our members. We have 23,000 members that have had the opportunity to provide their input on what a Service Center of Excellence should look like, and what does that represent for IFMA. And without our members, none of this is possible. None of us have a reason to be here. So with that, I really would like to thank every single one of our 23,000 members worldwide. Thank you. So I invite all of you and everybody out there who's listening that if you're ever in Houston, feel free to stop by and see what we've built as IFMA as a new chapter in our history begins. So with that, I'm standing between you and lunch, so please join us now in the back for our kitchen for lunch. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful time enjoying the space and seeing it. And we'll have tours later as you go here, but feel free to wander the space as you want to. Thank you.